this is probably going to be more informative than anything else. I will go ahead and put some links into the chat that I'm going to be referring to. So
This is probably going to be
let's mute that. Okay, welcome everybody, and thank you for attending the April 23rd meeting of the State Historical Records Advisory Board. Apologies for how the beginning of the year has been, where we canceled our January meeting and then didn't reschedule. And this was supposed to be an in-person meeting, but I just didn't get the logistics in time for us to do that. But thank you for being able to attend today. As a reminder, this is a public meeting. We are streaming on YouTube, so in order to be counted as part of the quorum, please keep your cameras on, and I will go ahead and call roll. And if you can just unmute and say here. JP, Adam,
Here.
Matt,
Here.
Susan,
here.
and Allison. And then I'm Catherine, and this is Taylor. And we are the deputy coordinator for SHRAB. Okay, so the first thing we'll go over are the NHPRC updates. So if you may already have received an email from Jacob, if you signed up to get those emails from him. Jacob, who is one of the directors of, or is the director of the State Board Programming Grant at NHPRC. Essentially, it still comes down to NHPRC is still frozen in its ability to issue new awards. A commission meeting has not been approved by NARA, the National Archives and Records Administration. I think that's because there's not an archivist yet. So there has been a nominee put forth. There's an acting archivist now, but I think we're unclear of what the acting archivist's particular duties are, and it's the whole thing. So that's why NHPRC, my understanding or my guess, I guess, is that's why they haven't been able to meet. So in the meantime, the NHPRC staff have continued to work on internal processes that they're hoping will make the grant process easier. They are welcoming of any discussions that we might have for future grant opportunities for the next application cycle, whenever that will be. So we still have our 2026 grant application and our project narrative. So I imagine that when it comes time, we'll just reapply with that application, those items in that grant application. So that's just kind of the state of it right now. Essentially, we don't have the funding that we were expecting or hoping for, and really no active SHRAB does, because NHPRC has not met yet. So leading into SHRAB activities and funding, I wanted to, even though that wasn't a lot of great news, there have been some things that we have been working on. We have tentatively started working on a statewide repository directory. I've had some folks at KDLA start doing data entry of the existing and outdated Kentucky Guide, and converting that into a spreadsheet. It's paused, but we'll resume it again. There has been interest from other agencies like the Kentucky Digital Library in assisting with this. So hopefully we can kind of get that going again. And then it'll just ideally be a matter of, making it up, designing it, hosting it on the website, and then determining how the best way to update it if we're not able to do assessments as planned right now. Another aspect of our strategic plan, which I said I was going to put links in chat and then I did not do that. So let me do all of this. So our strategic plan, I've linked it in chat. Another aspect of that was to create a speaker fee, which we have done, which is funded by the the Friends of the Kentucky Public Archives. So we do have a speaker fee and a travel fee for Archives Month speakers, of up to 2 Archives Month speakers. Hello, Allison. So for the purposes of the minutes, Allison has joined the meeting. I was just giving a quick review of the state of the NHPRC, which is just to say it's paused and we don't currently have grant funding for that. So our grant application is kind of done for right now. But okay, so looking over our strategic plan, there have been some things we have still achieved. Again, we're working on the directory. So that is going to be, that was in progress and now it's paused and now it's going to be resumed. We have set a speaker fee for 2 speakers for Archives Month, and that's 150 as a speaker fee, and then a travel reimbursement of up to 150, and that is funded by the Friends of the Kentucky Public Archives. And then I have reached out to determine we wanted to get a centralized email address for our SHRAB, and I've reached out to determine how much that would cost. And then like KDLA would probably absorb that cost, or we would factor it into like whatever grant funding we're able to get. And then looking at possible funding, here are some potential things I've identified. I haven't done a super deep dive into it, and please feel free to share if you have other thoughts or ideas. So one is Friends of Kentucky Public Archives. I didn't link them because they're on the KDLA website. They fund a lot of stuff for us, like our Archives Month activities in particular, but we can always try to collaborate with them and see if there's anything else or any other activities they'd be willing to fund and to what extent. The Mellon Foundation has 2 grants that I thought could be applicable to us in our activities: Humanities in Place and Public Knowledge, especially when it comes to like looking at a roving archivist program or doing our own sub-grants to agencies and archives. And then the National Endowment for Humanities has a collection stewardship grant, which I thought could also be applicable to us. So feel free to take a look at those. Again, if you have other suggestions or thoughts on other funding sources, feel free to share that when you can. But those were just some that I knew of offhand. And then another thing we talked about in our strategic plan was to, or something about primary sources and connecting with educators on that. I don't really have like a thing for that, but I have a really good example that I wanted to share. So this link is for Consider the Source New York. New York doesn't have a Friends, they have a trust, and that has lots of money. So they are able to create this website, which is really like, it's really good. It's really good for directing educators to primary resources, how to teach with historical records and stuff. So I'm kind of looking at that as an inspiration for what we have on our strategic plan to do. So again, look at that as an example. If you have other examples, feel free to share, but I think that's just something to kind of a visual representation of what we're hoping to do for our education piece in our strategic plan. Okay, and so going on to Archives Month, this is like a very minor update. We're moving the nomination forms from SurveyMonkey to Microsoft Forms, so those forms are not going to be available right now. They should be available. I'll announce when they're available for nominations. That's gonna be open to everybody. Anybody can apply or be nominated. We have several categories for nominations, like service as a service to archives as a public servant, service to archives as a non-public servant, educator awards. So just recognition in how folks are using archives and highlighting them. And this is something we'd like to give out or award in October, which is Archives Month. We don't have the committee formed yet. But I will be reaching out to folks by tomorrow to resume the committee. And the committee just creates the theme, tries to organize events during the month, tries to create the media, the poster for Archives Month, which gets sent out to everybody. So that is where we are with that. And again, a lot of activities are funded by the Friends of Kentucky Public Archives. So even though we don't have the NHPRC grant, we'll still be able to do some Archives Month activities. So that's me talking. Are there any questions or anything from you all or any thoughts on anything I've just talked about? Again, this is really like we haven't met in a while, and this is hi, FYI, here's what's going on. I will say I have like I have a pretty renewed energy for Shrab, so I'm really, even though there's some disappointment with the NHPRC grant, I think that there are still a lot of things we can do without it. And we'll do that because that's how state government rolls.
Our friends of public archives is quite,
Yes.
What do I want to say? Like, they're very active. They
Yes,
want
yes.
to be here and funding and
They're
helping.
very supportive.
Like, very supportive,
Yeah.
I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll definitely reach out to them and see what we can do. Otherwise, I am going to propose, again, this was supposed to be an in-person meeting, but for various reasons, it's not. I'm going to propose that our next meeting in June is an in-person meeting. Do you all think you'd be able to attend that or work with, not June, July? Let's see. 16, 23rd. Yeah, July 23rd is our next meeting. Would you all be fine with having that as an in-person meeting? So you would travel here, and we can try to pay for your travel as well. Okay, awesome. Seeing nods. All right, I'll send out more information about that. And that's all I have. Thank you all for attending. And for those that I reached out to earlier this week, thank you for your response. And I will definitely be more active, and I'll get more information to you all so that you all can be more active as well. And I think we'll be able to get a lot of things done this year, even if it's not quite as funded as we had hoped. So, all right. Thank you, Matt. It's really all of us. So once we get started, I know that this group will really be involved and active again. So if you all have any questions or any thoughts, reach out, feel free to let me know. I would encourage you to just keep an ear out for any grant or funding opportunities that we can try to apply for or involve ourselves in. And yeah, we will go from there. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
Hi, everyone.